Come unwrap some holiday magic this season in Denver, where the lights are brighter and the shopping is grander. The shows are more spectacular, the trees taller, the festivities merrier. So come for your holiday traditions or make some new ones with your friends and family in the Mile High City, where the season feels a whole lot more wonderful. Discover great hotels and more things to do at milehighholidays.com.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis, a podcast dedicated to the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hey everybody, it's Thursday. We haven't seen you guys all week.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a hot minute. How have you been?
I'm good. I am training for a walkathon.
Yeah, every time I call you, you're huffing in the phone.
Yeah, I'm on the treadmill. Yeah. Yep. So I have that like the next 2 Saturdays. So
nice.
Yep. We got a mission trip going out to New Mexico. So
yeah, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. That'll probably be when big news breaks.
exactly. I'll be in New Mexico and with no cell phone service or internet capabilities.
And I ain't doing it by myself. So if anything breaks in the middle of September, we will have to get back.
We'll pause and get back to you.
Yes.
So what have you been doing?
I'm alive. I'm breathing.
Virtual school.
Virtually stinks, but yeah, the teachers are doing good. There's just a lot of blips, and then having 3 kids doing 3 different things, and they all have their own little stresses. It's been stressful.
Yeah. And some people don't thrive in the online school world.
My kids do not. Although they understand why they're doing virtual. My daughter, who is definitely the brainiac in the family and very disciplined and super serious about her schoolwork today, I just had to get her out in the car and just take her for a ride. She just was so frustrated, and she thrives in school. It's just, it's hard. So, you know, it's her freshman year, so she didn't get that first freshman day, but she's been really cool about it. There's just a lot of stress, but hey, we're all healthy, and like I said, I'm alive.
Yeah.
That's about all I can say today. I haven't talked to you in days. It's been like just radio silence, except for, you know, the occasional call, and I always get you on the treadmill. You're always sucking wind when I call, so. Yeah, but so there's been a little bit of news since our last podcast.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, Pryor, he made a motion to dismiss the charges against Chad, which is laughable. I mean, Wood literally responded with, "Oh, we're going to join the case."
Yeah, combine.
Yeah, you want to dismiss? We're gonna go all in. I mean, Pryor's just doing his job. It's very common to do that. And I mean, he's just being thorough.
Yeah.
As much as we don't enjoy watching him, it happens. I mean, motion to dismiss is kind of standard.
Yeah. I mean, his ultimate goal is to get him off. So,
Right. So, but Pryor says that in the filing that there is a lack of sufficient evidence to bind him over.
I found that odd when the kids were found buried in his backyard.
Yeah, and the judge said there's enough evidence to bind him over.
Yeah, I mean, we did the preliminary with him.
Right.
And Eden said there's enough to go to trial.
Yeah.
And then now he's like, okay, let's not do this trial.
Yeah, there wasn't enough evidence.
Yeah.
He also says that the charges were not supported by the evidence, and it was duplicate. Okay. There was some duplicates. I'm not even going to try to say that word because your brain
is fried.
My synapses are all asleep up there. In other words, the allegations against him were duplicate. And he said that the prosecution hasn't said when the alleged acts occurred, because I think on paper for the deaths, they have between, like for Tylee, September 8th through the day she was found on the property. And it was the same with JJ.
Yeah, that's like June 9th, right?
Yeah, something like that. So
Yeah.
it's September to June, even though we all kind of know when it happened.
Yeah.
There's that broad range there, and that's what Pryor brought up, which is you haven't even said when this happened. And also that they haven't said if Chad acted in any manner to support those allegations, which he calls vague and overly broad. So it's standard. It will be denied, and life will go on. He has asked for a 14-day extension of when that would need to be heard in the court. In other words, I think you have 14 days from the time you file that motion to dismiss to have it heard. But he's asked for an extension because he said that he hasn't got discovery in the case that he's asked for, and he's also waiting on a transcript. So
Yeah, I didn't understand he's wanting a transcript from the preliminary.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the only thing I could think is he wanting to see what everybody, like their testimony?
Well, that's what the transcript is.
Yeah.
It's word for word, but he's also waiting on discovery, so he's just waiting on some stuff from the prosecution.
Yeah.
Evidence that they plan on using.
I just wanted to say, dude, you were at the preliminary and you were kind of a little bit obnoxious, like in your questioning. So
A little bit.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Wood files the joinder motion.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that again was expected by a lot of the legal eagles on TV and the internet. It's super common in these cases to join co-defendants. And I kind of feel like now we're getting to the time where they've got to decide, are they united, or is it kind of every man, woman for themselves?
Yeah, and you think this is really going to show?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they come out and say, whoa, 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 we don't want to join, we don't want to be together, then, somebody's turning, or
Yeah,
I don't think so.
It could be a good indication. I kind of think that the lawyers, whether they've turned or not, maybe don't want this in a joint setting. I don't know. It's not typically a defense attorney's bread and butter to do joints. It gets complicated, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. What I found interesting is Chad and Lori, they have the same charges, but Chad has a couple of different charges than Lori. So with Lori, she has the conspiracy of the destruction, alteration, and concealment. She has those counts. Chad has the same, but he also has just destruction, conspiracy, and alteration or concealment. So what that means to me is that Lori conspired with Chad to hide the bodies. But what that says too is with the extra charges, Chad actually did it. And we know that. So it's kind of like, how can they have a joint trial as it is right now? That, yeah, they have some of the same charges, but Chad has different ones. And they don't have to be charged with the same crimes. They're facing the same charges pretty much. But in other words, the facts are all the same. That you can have different charges than a co-defendant if the crime itself is the same and the facts are the same. Is kind of how I understood it. So,
It makes sense.
Yeah, it did. So what are some of the benefits of joining the trials?
I mean, just off the top of your head, you think money?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to save the state a lot of money. I think one of the biggest things is selecting jurors.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I mean, it's like on and on. Like people testifying, so they're not in two separate, having to testify twice.
Right, but with the jury, if you think about it, that's obviously one of the big concerns about this case already. And they say January. I think charges will come, bigger charges will come, and that January date is just kind of a placeholder right now. But if you think about it, because they're so concerned about getting an impartial jury already, I think Pryor's next motion is going to be to a change of venue. But you do eliminate a whole set of jurors.
Yeah.
But you're going to have alternates for a case like this. I mean, they don't want it to where if somebody's sick, they have to stop trial for a day or a week or whatever. We're in the middle of COVID. So I think they'll have alternate jurors and everything else. But can you imagine trying to, get together, 12, 24 people and then have alternates?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That would be crazy. So that's a big bonus, is to just have one set of jurors. And the prosecution, they don't have to prep for 2 trials.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. And the families, they don't have to sit through 2.
Right. Because let's just say it goes to 1 trial, you're still going to have a lot of hearings in between. You're going to have all these motions. You can double that. And we know Kay and Larry live in Louisiana.
Yep.
Colby's out west, right? He's in Arizona, maybe?
Yeah.
So you think about it. I mean, they want to be there for probably every hearing, but it can get very tiresome and expensive.
Yeah. And then what do you do if it's at the same time?
Well, yeah, I don't think they would be able to try it at the same time, not this big, but it would be maybe close together. So it's just a lot of undue stress on the family if they can join this trial together.
Yeah.
But it's just going to depend, too, on what are the defense strategies? I mean, if they're flipping, then they're definitely not going to want it. This is all going to be interesting to me to watch, no matter which way it goes. I mean, the thing is, the other thing that is a big plus in combining is it removes the possibility of pretrial rulings that are inconsistent.
Yeah.
Based on evidence and procedure. So you don't want 2 different judges given 2 different rulings on the same stuff. That could be a huge problem, I think.
Yeah, because that's interpretation, right?
Right.
I mean, if a judge said, well, wait, this is what I think, because obviously you have 2 separate brains. So one could think one way and one the other.
Yeah, and that could be a problem if a judge rules for Chad one way and then that benefits him maybe, and then on the same issue rule a different way, a different judge go a different way with Lori. Where does that go? So there's a lot of reasons that Wood wants this to be one.
Yeah. The other thing, what about them, the jury seeing them together?
I think that's going to be a big bad thing for them. I mean, on their own, they're bad enough. But the way this is played out in the media, it's been the 2 of them. It's rarely been you hear just of one. So I think that they're not going to be able to, I don't think they'll be able to convince a jury on their own or together, but I think together it's going to be much worse.
Yeah.
As far as just the way they're perceived. I mean, you say you can get 12 jurors that are impartial. I believe you can. But still, most people are going to have at least heard a little bit about this case. And so it's really weird being in the courtroom with somebody's trial you followed. I remember in Jodi Arias, it was very weird being in there with her. It's a different feel. It's a different dynamic. It's very surreal. It's weird. You know what that person did. Yeah. And just to be in the same room with them. When we were in the Colorado theater shooter trial, we sat right behind James Holmes. And a couple of times he turned around and he acted like a slug when the jury was in the room. He just acted like he was in a trance. As soon as they left, he kind of came to life. And a few times he turned around and made eye contact with me and smiled, and it sent chills down my spine.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
I really hope at some point, if this goes to trial, and I think it will, that we get to sit in, because you've never done that. You've never sat in a big high-profile trial, and it is crazy.
Yeah.
It's all the media trucks out there. You've got people. I know, what was it for Jodi Arias? We did one show in a parking garage. I mean,
I remember that.
Yeah, there were like different little setups in that parking garage. And I even think Nancy Grace was doing, or her correspondents were doing their show out there. Maybe that was the one that the person I was with was Nancy Grace. But it's kind of, I guess the one nice thing about a trial is you get to meet people that you've watched cover the case, and I've made some lifelong friends doing that years ago. But Anyways, back to the subject. So if they want separate trials, this could get good.
Most definitely.
And why is that?
Well, so sorry, I had a
Are you dozing off over there?
yeah, I'm dozing off. No, I had a text and I was
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Do you have it or do you want me to
You
go?
go ahead.
Okay.
You go.
So if they do not want this joinder trial, they're going to have to go to court and give specific reasons why they do not want to be together. So I think we would find out at least a glimpse of defenses.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm with you now.
Sorry.
Got it. No.
I can't see you, so if I'd have
No,
seen
I
you looking
know.
at your phone, I wouldn't have thrown it
No,
your way.
it's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
It's all right.
So it could give us a little bit of an indication of where they're headed with their defenses.
Yeah. Which we don't know yet.
We don't know.
Like we've speculated to the cows come home, and we can still do that. But
yeah.
I mean, we don't know who's gonna
Yeah.
if they're gonna turn, if they're not. So
Right. And I think, I just think they have to turn. Lori has never spared an ex from her wrath.
yeah.
So I don't think Chad's going to be any different. And on the same token, I don't think Chad is willing to go to prison they're going to go to prison, but
Yeah.
in their mind, I don't know if Chad is going to think that she's worth it to stick by her. So we think they will fight the joint trial. And I've read that defense attorneys don't really like them. It's hard. It can get confusing. You've got two attorneys working essentially together in a way. And they may not have the same approach for their clients as the other has.
Yeah.
So you could get into some conflict there.
So, and I may ask you this question. I don't know. I mean, we might have to look it up. But so, how does that work? Will prior question and then means gets the question? I honestly don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think a while back I watched a joint trial. But that's a really good question. If you guys know that, drop it in the comments on one of our pages. But I would guess if they're co-defendants, then in some ways, I would assume that prior would handle. I don't think Chad or Lori will testify.
I don't think so.
I don't think
either.
they'll get on the stands. But then again, I about fell on the floor the day Jodi Arias took the stand. So
There you go. That's true.
you never know if they think that they, are exalted beings and they're above us all. Well, they may get on the stand. We don't know. I doubt it.
That'd be crazy.
Another con is that it could confuse the jury of the exact roles of each person.
That's true. That would be a lot to take in.
Yeah, because if with Chad, you have two separate sets of charges. So you would have to instruct the jury that you can't consider this evidence for Lori when you're deciding her guilt.
Yeah.
But it seems like pinpointing who did what could be hard.
Yeah, and I don't know. They have the evidence. I want to know everything.
I know, right?
Like, I want to know it all.
I wish I were psychic.
Yeah. You'd be like, okay, what do you know?
I just got my crystal ball.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they got.
Oh, that's what it was. I saw somebody online said something about a truth serum. Like, yeah, just come clean. Share everything.
Yeah. And then a former federal prosecutor, he said that doing the joint trial, in his opinion, it makes a conviction more likely. But he did feel that the cases as they stand right now individually was enough to probably convict him anyway. But he expects both the attorneys to reject the joinder motion, whether they're separated or not.
Yeah.
Just out of the gate by default, we're going to say, no, we don't want this. But judges would likely comply if they ask for separate trials because they don't want to do anything that they can complain about later and say that they didn't get a fair trial because of A, B, and C.
Yeah. You put me in a courtroom with him or her, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, and the other thing is, we all assume that Chad and Lori are going to paint Alex as kind of the scapegoat, the killer. They didn't know.
Yeah.
But we were talking about Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And he was convicted on murder by proxy for those killings. And he didn't kill all the victims.
Yeah. I think there were 7 that died, and I think he had a hand in 2 of them. So.
Yeah, but we don't know that he actually murdered them.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's. I mean, he was charged with first degree murder, and then conspiracy to commit murder.
yeah.
So yeah,
But they blamed a lot of his ideology on the killings.
exactly.
And it made me think of Chad's light and dark list.
Very true.
Is that how you maybe get murder charges? Is to say, look, if we're thinking about Charles Manson, is sort of the same thing. His beliefs
Yeah.
drove people to kill for him.
Yeah.
And that could be, where we see murder charges. I think they've got to be coming. I don't think this January date will go off for a million reasons.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. That because I think one of the questions was that we saw if they do combine the cases and they put them together, does that mean Lori's is in January and and we both said we didn't think so. That I mean, obviously we think other charges are coming down the pipe here, but yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll come before January.
Yeah. And then that date will be moved.
Yeah, this date's going to be moved anyway. We have COVID. I mean, these trials rarely, this big, there's going to be so many delays.
Yeah.
Even just for the concealment and the destruction and all that, I don't think this will happen in January.
Yeah, we just want it speedy. Tell us everything, convict them, and we're done. That's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we did, speaking about Alex, I mean, at the end of the day, do you really think that a jury is going to buy that Chad had no idea Alex was on his property, dug 2 holes, buried the kids, had fires, and whatever else may have happened, especially in that barn area, because there has to be a place where Tylee was dismembered.
Yeah.
There has to be evidence somewhere. Come on. A jury is not going to say, oh, yeah, he had no idea. He was in there writing a book in his back room.
Yeah.
I mean, so
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
These charges here, Chad's got 20 years coming.
Yeah.
Just on these. But I think if they flip Fruit Loop, I think they are going to open the floodgates on everything incriminating about each other.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's gonna. I really hope they flip, because I think we'll really get the big picture.
Yeah. But then the other side of me says they, just because of who they are and how they've been with each other.
I mean, it's true, but a lot has happened. The end of the world didn't happen. Chad got arrested. July 22nd came and went. They've been apart now longer than they were married by far. So does absence make the heart grow fonder or colder? Is Lori sitting there stewing that in her mind, I'm sure Chad's the reason I'm in jail?
Yeah.
Because she's not sitting there saying, I shouldn't have done that. That's why I'm in jail. She's blaming him. He's probably saying, if I hadn't chased her and used that crazy, stupid pickup line that we used to be married, maybe I'd be home. So I just don't see them. I don't know. I just think that it's going to happen if it hasn't already.
Yeah, I think in a normal mind, like our normal mind, I just said I had a normal mind, but in our normal mind, we would be like, yeah, I'm not going down for something you did. I'll tell you everything.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what we ate, where we went, like what the speed limit was. Like, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Yeah.
But when we know, obviously, they're not normal.
I mean, you put somebody's feet to the fire, and I'm sure that Mark Means has had some very serious conversations with her, such as, we don't care about Chad. We have to get you the least amount of time we can. That's a defense attorney's job.
Yeah. And
so I would love to know what she's told him. Like, has she fessed up, or is she lying to her attorney?
See, I would think, this is just me personally, if I was an attorney, I wouldn't want to know if my client was guilty or innocent. I mean, if they were guilty and committed, I wouldn't want to know because I'd feel like I would slip up and say something.
I know, but
like
remember,
I would do something and be like, oh wait, no, never mind.
no. Remember when you said this is what I mean, sorry.
Yeah, or ask something in a certain way that implies that that they're guilty. So I wouldn't want to know. If any attorneys listen, like if you reach out, say, do you ever ask your client if they're guilty or innocent?
I think they do.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't know. I'd say something dumb, and
I worked with a criminal defense attorney for 4 years, and I asked the same question, and yeah, he used to ask if they were guilty or not because it gives him, I guess it gives an attorney an angle.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, the angle is you're guilty.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm not an attorney because.
Yeah, because see, here's the thing: I would slip up and say something I'm not supposed to, like in court, and ruin my client's case. Because my brain,
like,
I seriously have undiagnosed ADD. So I would just, I would go off in left field. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a statistic from 2019 was that 90%, now this is federal trials, but it's probably the same in regular court. 90% of federal trials ended in plea deals last year.
Yeah, that's a high percentage.
And that's the normal percentage too.
Yeah, because you want to get less time. I mean, who wants to say, okay, yeah, give me the most time I can get in prison?
Yeah, and we were talking just before the podcast. If you look at the charges, Chad has the 2 different ones. He has additional charges that Lori doesn't have, and that's because the kids were buried on his property. But if you look at it on the surface, it almost makes you think, okay, maybe they have more on Chad right now with what we know.
Yeah.
Now, what we don't know, I think it's pretty even Stevens. But does that give Mark Means a way to make Lori the victim? And Ashley Banfield on Court TV last night brought up a good point from a defense strategy.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And which is, if you listen to the jailhouse call when Chad's sitting in his car and they're searching the property, Lori sounds confused. If you listen back, now this is Ashley's point. She just is like, Chad says, well, they're searching again. And she's like, are they seizing stuff from the house? And he's like, no, they're on the property. Are they taking stuff? No, they're on the property.
Yeah.
And so Ashley was saying that maybe this is what Mark Means grabs onto and says, hey, if you listen to this call, she ain't getting it. It's not clicking with her that her kids are on that property and they're about to find them. She's asking if they're taking stuff from the house, presumably about Tammy Daybell.
Yeah. But then on the other side of that, the prosecution is going to say, one, she knows she's being recorded. And could it be code that he's saying they're searching the property?
Oh, yeah.
So that would be it's a good defense strategy. I totally agree.
I mean, look, you got to use what you can right now. It's not looking good for her just with what little we know.
Yeah.
But it was a good point.
Yeah.
Because I went back and listened to it, and they're definite, and I do not agree that she didn't know.
Yeah.
But from a defense strategy, she did sound, you could imply that maybe she sounded confused, a little off or whatever. But then if I'm the prosecution, I'm saying, well, we know she's had mental health counseling and here are the drugs she's taking and it causes drowsiness or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
and she's a master manipulator.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at all the lies. I thought we could fill up an hour podcast if we just sat here and talked about the lies that woman has told that we know of.
Lie.
Oh, man. Yeah. Like, there's so many. So I don't think her playing dumb will get her far, but I don't see a lot where Mark Means, other than some kind of a mental health. And I've said that every podcast. I think the only way it goes is a mental health deficiency, or she was just told, hey, Alex is taking the kids to a camp and me and you are going to go to Hawaii and let this die down, and then we'll go be with them whenever.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I don't see what there is to defend.
Yeah.
She was at the house at the time around JJ dying. So it's going to be really hard to buy that, she had no clue. I'm just curious their defense. So if they don't want a joint case, we will know one of their defenses in a roundabout way when that that is heard.
Yeah, I think the main thing here is if you didn't do anything wrong, why do you lie?
Well, yeah.
And we know she's lied about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if I hadn't done anything wrong, I don't have to lie or hide it. So
Right. Did you see that new dash cam video that Justin Lum put out yesterday?
okay, yes, and she doesn't say anything.
Smirked.
Nothing. She like kind of shrugged a little bit, like when they handed her the warrant, or not the warrant, but the search warrant. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought it was very telling. Like normally she's like the to the cops, and she did not say anything.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't think about that when I watched it. Actually, I just noticed the few little smirks where she's walking away from the cops, and she kind of does the same grin that she did in court.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like oh man, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
I wanted to reach through my screen and just, be like, what are you doing?
But you can listen to the body cams on the other times we've heard her, and every time she's been around a cop, she kind of tries to suck them in.
But if you think about it, the other times that we saw her on body cam, she was trying to wiggle out of something.
Exactly.
You can't wiggle out of a search warrant.
Yeah.
And at that point, she knows they're being watched.
And what are they getting ready to find?
Oh, the iPads.
Yep.
You had JJ's iPad that was inscribed with his name. The other iPad that was logged into his school account, which she was checking. What else?
Tylee's phone.
Oh, yeah.
Birth certificates.
Bank card.
For
the benefits.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it's, that's a really good observation, though.
Yeah.
That she just was quiet. But you have to consider that was what, January? So they were pretty close to arresting her, and at that point, she knew they were hot on their trail because Tammy Daybell had been exhumed at that point.
Yep.
Alex had died, and they had already, I believe, done the search warrant at Chad's house for Tammy Daybell, where they went inside. We saw the video of them out with the metal detectors. It was snowy.
Yep.
So at that point, she doesn't have anything to wiggle out of. So maybe that's the demeanor we see there.
It'll be like, I was just shocked she didn't say anything. Like I'm waiting, like I'm watching this and I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, is she going to say anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looked like she just kind of, and you couldn't see her real good, but she kind of just looked like she was reading through the paperwork or something.
Yeah. She stood off camera for most of it. You see her at the beginning and you kind of see her at the end of that.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I want that cop to back up. I was like,
I know. Can you
turn a little bit?
Turn to the left.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't wait to see all of the footage from the welfare check. I mean, there's so much evidence that we're gonna see eventually, like that, or what they found in these search warrants. I'm curious. Did they find a crime scene where Tylee was dismembered? There has to be one. I mean, I know some people theorize that maybe just the fire itself did that, but we've heard dismembered and burned.
Yeah.
So I still sort of think something happened in that barn at Chad's. They had the markers on the barn where they take pictures.
Yep.
So we just have so far to go with this case. It's Melanie Pulaski that kid probably has like one arm hanging out by now. She's got to be due.
Yeah. And we're waiting to hear, like.
We do have somebody in the know that is going to let us know when she delivers.
Yeah.
So as soon as we hear, we will post on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. So there's like rumors she has had it.
Yeah, but
we can't get any clear. We're waiting on some clear, like truth. We want truth.
If she's had it, then but we do have a source that is going to let us know for sure when she has the baby. As soon as they hear, they're going to let us know. So we will pass that on. It's got to be soon.
Yeah.
Either that or it's like an elephant pregnancy. What are they, like 2 years or something?
Yeah, I think.
That's what they all feel like, but.
I don't know. I'm not going down that path.
I've been 3 times and I'm done. So I think that was. Did you have anything else?
We were just going to answer a couple questions.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So one of the questions was, does this mean they are either both found guilty or both found not guilty? I would hate for a jury to be 100% on one but not the other, resulting in a hung jury.
I mean, I think they can have different verdicts for each client.
Yeah.
Because there's different charges. So clearly you're not going to find Lori guilty on a charge she's not charged with.
Yeah.
And then no, so I believe they can find different verdicts. Yeah.
And I think they can find one guilty and it could be a hung jury on the other one. So that's separate. Yeah.
Anything that could happen in an individual trial could happen in a joint trial as far as verdicts go. And it can stagger to where like he's guilty, but we know they're both going to be guilty.
Yeah.
And then jury sequester. One thing we haven't really talked about. I think they got to sequester this jury.
Yeah, there's a ton of information out there.
Oh man. And when it goes to trial, it will like increase tenfold.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier on some of the cases you followed, jurors were dismissed for commenting on social media or
Yeah.
As big as this case is, that would be very hard.
Yeah, they it was situations where they were found to make posts on social media or so there's a million reasons jurors will be dismissed. They'll have alternates probably, but I just think in order to prevent any kind of a problem in the future, like something that could cause a mistrial, I know Jodi Arias asked for the jury to be sequestered, but I don't think they did.
Yeah.
In a case this big, and then when the actual trial starts, it'll be on like national news quite frequently. It'll be hard to avoid if you're using the internet or tuning into news channels.
Yeah.
So that'll all be very interesting. I think the next thing though is probably the motion to move the trial.
Yeah.
Out of Rexburg, and then. We always say it. We're waiting on a lot more charges: murder, conspiracy to commit murder, Tammy Daybell's autopsy. We got Charles Vallow charges coming at some point.
Yep.
So they better settle in.
So another question was, does combining the cases, does that make it harder for them to plea out?
No. I mean, they can join the cases, and if the prosecution's going to offer a plea deal, I don't know that there's an expiration on that. I don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Wood is going to offer a plea, but the Ted guy on Court TV, his stance was if anybody at this point with what we know would get a plea deal, it might be Lori, because it seems like Chad is more involved, at least with the destruction and the concealment and the altering. So his thing was if giving her a plea ensures Chad gets murder charges or conspiracy to commit murder, I think they'll both get it. But that was just the example used.
Yeah.
Is if Wood thinks that he can get Chad for much bigger charges with Lori's testimony, then that might, in Ted's opinion, that would be who he thought would get one. We don't know if one will be offered or to who.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what comes about in the next few days.
Definitely,
because we don't know the length of time they have to respond to this.
Yeah, we were trying to find in between, all the demands for my kids today or help they needed. I was trying to Google stuff. I would assume it would be fairly soon though, because I mean we're already in September, and so you're looking at roughly 4 months before this goes to trial, and this. You're looking at 3 weeks? I think I said 2 on the last podcast. I think, didn't Pryor ask for 3 weeks? I should have Googled it today because here I am again. But it's not going to be a small thing. I would assume that
It was 14 days, right?
Was it 14? Gosh, I don't know.
I think it was 14.
Eh,
So that's 2
it's
weeks.
long. It's long. We'll just say that. It's not a short trial. But I would assume if they keep it joint, that the prosecution's got a lot of work to do. And the defense has a lot of work to do. So I would think they would want something on the books as far as a decision, whether or not they're going to, let them separate, keep it together, whatever. 4 months isn't a long time, although I don't think we don't think it'll go off in January, but it's a big case. So I would think they want to get all this stuff out of the way right now.
Okay, so this is how I see Wood. Like in my mind, this is how I vision it, right? So they're in the courtroom, and you watch those the Texas Hold'em poker things, like ESPN has all these things, and it's like I just see him like with that Cheshire cat grin and just lays his Full House or whatever down.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like bam.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like a mic drop.
Exactly. It's like a chess game, poker game, whatever.
Yeah.
Wood cracks me up though.
Yeah.
I still go see that where Mark Mean says, "I've never represented Chad Daybell," and Wood cocks his head to one side. I tried to get that on the YouTube video. Yeah. On that episode where we talked about that, I tried to get like the picture side by side so you can sort of see his head
it's like the dog when he hears a noise or something and he cocks his head up.
Yeah, exactly.
Listening. Yeah.
Or that's this like when my dog hears me opening up some chips. It's like the same head cock. Like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wood, he's so stoic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like him.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. He's got this, and I'm sure they've got a really good team working on this.
Yeah, so in the next few days, hopefully we'll hear and get some responses to some of that. And
I think maybe by like next week. It's already Thursday. I just now saw it was Thursday. I just looked on my computer. I didn't even know. I thought it was like Tuesday. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, it is.
I don't even know my name right now.
So it'll be next week. Yeah.
I don't drink, but I strongly considered taking up day drinking this week. Just going to put that out there.
I was going to say, you want to be sequestered. You want to be on the
I want to be sequestered in my bedroom with the door shut and locked. And I don't want to see a Chromebook or hear the word e-learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, sequester me.
It's been a change for everybody.
It has.
Yeah.
And then it's like you switch from being mom to teacher to lunch lady and then back to teacher and then like the laundry lady and then I got to feed the dogs. I'm like, oh man, I'm tired, y'all.
Yep. So y'all remember me on Saturday as I'm walking in this walkathon because I'm pushing my mom in a wheelchair. So
you can FaceTime me.
Yeah, I will. I'll FaceTime you from the trail.
I'll FaceTime you from my couch.
Yeah. So my mom wanted to help raise funds for our mission trip, and so I'm pushing her.
That's really cool.
It's 4.5 miles.
Nice.
Yeah, you say that now. So
you better get on that treadmill because you're sucking lots of wind when I call you. You're like, I've done a mile.
Yeah. A mile and a half. Yeah.
I'm going to take my kids to the Biltmore Estate on Saturday. They have a Downton Abbey exhibit where it's like all the costumes and the sets.
I saw that.
So we're going to head up to Asheville, and it's so beautiful up there.
Yeah.
We go up to Sassafras Mountain. Fruit Loop and I'll take like the kids and a group of people. And it's like the coolest sunset. It's just mountains beyond mountains.
Yeah.
So
and you got
pretty.
a 360-degree view.
It is amazing. I'll post some pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else you got, Fruit Loop?
I think that's it.
Wow. So it's 8:54 and I'm super excited because it's near my bedtime. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed old lady style. Don't care what you think.
Yeah, you're old. But we've taken up 42 minutes of your time.
I told Fruit Loop before we start, I was like, we got 20 minutes worth of stuff, maybe.
No. 42. Getting ready to click over to 42. So
43, you mean, right?
No.
Oh, so we're at 41.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it's getting ready to click over 42.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying we're at 42. We're about to click over to 42. I'm like, nothing changed since high school math.
No, that's right. That's right.
Well, you guys have a great weekend. I think maybe we'll try to get back on here about Tuesday, Wednesday to do another one.
Unless them charges come down.
Gosh, cross your fingers, y'all.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, y'all have a good evening.
All right.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.